Clueless or I have no idea what I'm doing patch. Kill 200 enemies with Akimbo plus ACOG 44 Magnums. Many of you probably already have this, as it is one of the nicer looking patches. People tend to want to get this one right away due to that fact. However, I still receive at least one request for this every other week or so. Upon realizing that I didn't even have this patch myself, I figured it would be good to do a video on it. So let's talk about those Magnums first. By itself, the Magnum is single action, which means it must be recocked after every shot, which results in a reduction in fire rate. It also has an extremely slow ADS time. However, the damage is very high. You can get a one-hit kill to the upper chest and head. In hardcore mode, this damage profile makes it an absolute beast. You can get constant one-shot kills there. The Magnum is one of the two secondaries that can equip the ACOG scope, enhancing its range a bit. You are also able to akimbo the Magnums with ACOG scopes, which is functionally pointless, except, of course, for this challenge that we're about to do. The problem with the Magnum is that the only good thing going for it is the one-shot kill capability. The fire rate is too slow to compete with anything in close range if that one shot doesn't kill. And trust me when I say this, the Magnum is extremely inconsistent. You'll find this out the hard way during this patch. There were instances where I knew someone was coming and I was lying in wait for them, only for them to round the corner and me miss about 3 to 5 shots and him turn and kill me. Even with steady aim, the bullets hardly ever hit when you want them to. It's very, very frustrating. And again, if you miss that first shot, by the time you get off a second trigger pull with the Magnum, pretty much every other player in the game can unload more than enough shots to kill you. With that said, the Magnum, outside of that one-shot kill range, is just not a useful piece of killing technology, and typically will lead you to death and a respawn. The entire purpose of a secondary is to make up for where your primary fails, and the Magnum just doesn't cut it, in my opinion. So now that I've made the Magnum out to be all smiles and sunshine, why don't we just equip ACOG scopes and dual wield them, and see how that fares for us. A bad weapon just got worse. These types of patch are what I like to call attrition patches. That means, basically, that everyone will eventually get this, but just at different speeds. You don't have to have a 2+ KD to achieve this patch, you just have to chip away at it. Most people tend to be worried about their KD when it comes to this patch. Rightfully so, of course, considering all the negative things I just said about the Magnum. However, with my class setup, I consistently went 1.5 to 2 KD every match. Now, granted, you may only get 10 to 15 kills per match, but at least your KD won't suffer that much. Thus, this patch definitely takes a lot of effort. 10 kills per match equates to at least 20 matches to obtain this patch. So if you haven't seen by the gameplay yet, my class revolves around the Riot Shield. I know, another garbage weapon in this game, right? Well, it has its uses. First of all, a lot of people just don't know how to react to a Riot Shield user. You can often easily kill opponents armed with automatic weapons when they open fire, then stop and back off to reload. Wait for the hail of bullets to end and watch for the reload, then switch to your Magnums and pick them off. Secondly, it can deflect some explosive damage, which is always nice. I can't confirm this, but in my experience, the Riot Shield also can somewhat counter a panic knife. Watch here as this guy does the panic knife animation on me. He's about to stab me, and somehow I stab him first. The only thing I can conclude was that he knifed my shield and it bounced off, allowing me to then counter panic knife him. Thirdly, the Riot Shield can deflect Riley the dog's bite, which is absolutely amazing. The downside is that it takes 8 shield bumps to kill him. I couldn't believe that when I first experienced it. It takes 2 bumps to kill a player, but 8 to kill Riley. Lastly, and most importantly, is the ability to equip the radar on the shield. This is the reason we're going to use the Riot Shield. So let's do the class setup first. Instead of using the ACOG Akimbo Magnums like a shotgun and just running around, pistols blazing like you're in the Wild West, we're going to equip the Riot Shield as a primary. As mentioned, you'll want to select the radar as the Riot Shield's attachment. The secondary is obviously the 44 Magnums, Akimbo, and ACOG scope. Now for perks, we're a bit limited on what we can do. We're limited to just 10 perk points, 3 of which are taken up by the extra attachment spot. So I recommend Ready Up to bring your Magnums up faster if you're sprinting, Sleight of Hand, as you'll need to reload these quite often. Reflex, so you can swap between your shield and Magnums extremely fast. Extra Attachment, clearly, as this is mandatory. And lastly, Steady Aim. As I mentioned, the Magnums, especially Akimbo'd, are extremely inconsistent. Steady Aim helps tighten this up in that regard, although you'll still suffer somewhat. For streaks, I definitely recommend the support streaks. Like I said, you won't be getting many kills in every game using the Magnums, so go for the lower streaks. The ballistic vests are a nice option as they offer you a bit more protection. Now I personally ran the ammo crate, but it didn't really serve any purpose. I usually died before I needed to replenish any ammo, so this one is up to you. If I had to do it again, I'd probably go with either the ground jammer or the support squad mate. Lastly though, run the Maws. Even if you're a good player, such as a 2+ KD, chances are you won't do that well with these magnums. So if you, the star player, aren't doing well, that means the enemy team will be doing well. You don't want to get caught with your pants down by the enemy airstreaks, and the Maws loves to destroy aerial streaks. Alternatively, it's a great launcher to destroy enemies at long range. If you couple this with the ground jammer, you can stop almost all the streaks the enemies may throw at you. So vests, ground jammer, and the Maws. That's my recommendation. Alright, so first of all, try not to ever run with the riot shield. Sure, this slows down the gameplay, but it saves your life. If you sprint with the riot shield, you expose half of your entire body, making the shield absolutely useless. If someone engages you in a gunfight, remember to crouch and aim down a bit to try and cover your exposed feet. Most importantly, however, use the radar on your shield. This thing is absolutely God mode. Hardly anyone runs off the grid, so you've got a permanent second-degree SATCOM at all times. As you'll see me do repeatedly, take the time to swap to your shield and pause a second. Let the radar scan a few times. Chances are you'll see the enemy coming before they see you. As soon as you see a blip on that radar, swap to your magnums and pounce on your prey. I had a lot of fun with this patch using these tactics. You can see them coming in advance and you can lie in wait and ambush them. You have to literally focus on your minimap at all times while using the shield and the magnums. But once you get the hang of it, you can consistently achieve 10 to 20 kills per match with this setup. In almost all the footage of gameplay I have here, you'll see me use these tactics. So have your shield out, let the radar find your enemies, swap to the magnums, get the kills, and then swap back to the radar of the shield. What's nice is that as soon as the radar starts to pulse, you can swap to your magnum and still get the full radar effect, which is almost like having the radar on your magnums themselves. Again, I can't stress this enough, use your minimap and the radar pulse. There's no need to go running out in the open when you have a built-in radar that shows you where your enemies are coming from. Sure, once in a while you'll get bamboozled by an off-the-grid user, but I assure you it doesn't happen but once in a blue moon. So most people hate this patch simply because it destroys their KD. But using my setup here, your KD should still be maintained, and you should achieve the patch faster than most people. It is still possible to claim the top of the leaderboards using nothing but the akimboed magnums and the riot shield. A lot of people say that this patch makes you a better player. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it does make you a more cautious player.